You finished seventh, I believe, in the NCAA finals last year. What are your chances this year?
Well, somebody picked us for sixth. I'm a little skeptical about that. I'd be very happy with seventh, frankly. Seventh is pretty high. There's about 5 teams, or there are at least 4 or 5 teams that just no one's going to displace. And then there are about 5 other teams that we're all just about, you could throw us up in the air and just about anyone could come down sixth. I think that's just about the way it stands right now.
Malcolm, I don't think there's any question about it. This is the trend. Very frankly, in this day and time, it's no longer practical to buy a 25 to 100 acre tract and cut it up. You must master plan the whole area in order to really get a good workable situation. So the trend is to acquire sizable blocks of acreage of 1,000 acres or more and to master plan it all under one development and one developer's control to ensure having a quality development.
Most of the communities in the Dallas area want to grow, and they welcome a developer, a sizable developer who has the staff and the resources to put together the kind of planning and the ability to execute those plans, which would in fact provide the expanded economic growth that most communities everywhere want to have today.
I'm very much in favor of it, and I was instrumental in getting the Regional Police Academy formed when the police chiefs sought a facility to have central training for all police officers, and we used the Council of Governments as the vehicle to get to this point, and this was one of the first acts of the Council of Governments to install a Regional Police Academy. The Metro Squad is a good idea, and there's been a lot of talk, and Dallas has formed it, and we in Tarrant County hope to get such a thing formed and cooperate with the Dallas Metro Squad and have real cooperative attitudes in both counties.
We call it McGuire's Mecca, Jim, and the dream is still there, and I feel I can do just as much as a private citizen as I can as mayor. I have not, and I want to reiterate this point, I have not given up on the fight, because I have had thousands of people come to me and ask me to reconsider my consideration of withdrawing. I can do just as much, I think, as a private citizen.
I am convinced that this Congress will not pass President Nixon's revenue sharing plan. I am very optimistic, however, that the Democratic-controlled Congress is going to support a federal program which will relieve the states financially in the field of welfare. As a matter of fact, I feel that legislation is going to be passed which will reduce the amount of state expenditures appreciably over the next 2-year period, with the federal government picking up a much higher percentage of the cost of welfare. This will result in the states receiving as much federal money under this program as it would under President Nixon's revenue sharing, but the money will go for welfare. This pleases me very much. Matter of fact, I think it places Texas in a very good position in the next 2 years.
Jim, we had to have one reason to use, and the reason at the time was we were working awful hard, and I did want to get away for about 10 days, which I did. I went to Miami. There's no reason medically or mentally or physically that I cannot be a public servant. I have documents on this. I have affidavits from doctors I've been going to doctors all my life, as you have, and I have affidavits from them saying that there's no physical or mental reason I can't be a public servant.
Efforts to get the welfare ceiling raised and to appropriate welfare money now?
Well, it's very hard to determine exactly what Congress is going to do, so I'm going to advise the governor this afternoon that I feel that we should write a one-year appropriation bill. It seems unreasonable to me for this legislature to impose $200 to $300 million more in additional taxes when they may not be needed in Texas during the next 2 years.
What leads you to believe that this will come about, this picking up of welfare burdens by the federal government?
Well, as we all know, Representative Wilbur Mills from Arkansas is chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. I met yesterday and discussed at length what Congressman Mills plans to do personally as chairman of Ways and Means. I think the action of the Ways and Means Committee is going to have a material effect on what Congress is going to do and what the ultimate outcome of congressional action is going to be. And Congressman Mills assured me that Congress was going to take this action.
Let me ask.
There was very little talk in the Capitol building today, but a very heavy vote as the House of Representatives crushed Governor Preston Smith's proposed $450 million bond issue. There was only one exchange during the debate on the measure as Representative Will Lee of Houston asked some questions of the bill's sponsor, Representative Ben Atwell of Dallas. Then Representative Atwell advised the House of Representatives the alternatives if they approve the bond issue or if they defeat the bond issue.
Are you saying that would take the total amount of money that the state would accrue in present expendable income to pay these bonds?
Well, it would depend on of course not. If you had 30-year bonds, it would depend on the length of the bond issue.
The total amount of money it's going to cost the state over the period of the term for a $450 million bond issue. I have seen some figures that lead me to believe it will cost the state $1.5 billion in actual payments over the term of the years.
Well,
can you refute this?
I just want to say that this is a method, part of a method, to not have a tax bill for this session of the legislature. As I explained to you yesterday, I will probably be back on this podium with a tax bill in some nature of something around $700 million.
The next item of business before the House, considering revenue measures, will be a proposal by Representative Atwell to increase the sales tax by 0.75 cents and possibly to tack 3 more cents onto cigarettes. This will go before his Revenue and Taxation Committee tomorrow and probably before the House floor next week. Meanwhile, on the Senate side of the Capitol building, the Senate General Investigating Committee organized itself, electing Senator Aiken of Paris as vice chairman and Senator Ike Harris of Dallas as secretary. Senator J.P. Word presided as the chairman. The committee agreed to begin immediately a probe of the state banking department and its relationship with an alleged stock fraud case. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move in Austin.
Terry, how would you explain the phenomenal play that you have been experiencing these past few games?
Well, Jerry, sounds sort of corny, but I don't really think I've been doing anything different, than I was before. They're just going in now. My line mates are playing well, as they have been most, all the year, and they're just going in for Danny, Lodbo, Mo Labby, and myself now, and it's nice.
So you do the same thing in hopes that things begin to happen?
Oh, yeah. Well, once in a while you have a real bad game, but I think we've been fairly consistent. But now, like I say, things are just starting to break for us.
What percentage would you like the club to play as the season progresses?
Well, it's hard to say. We've got 25 games left. I think I'd like to win at least 15 of those, and then I think we can make second place if we can do that.
Why is it that so far you've had better success as a club against the Knights than you have against the Wings?
I don't know. That's puzzled me, too. We've just seemed to come up flat for one period out of the three every game against Fort Worth, and it's cost us 3 of the times. So, it's funny, though. What you do in the regular season doesn't really matter all that much when you get to the playoffs. So if we meet them in the playoffs, I don't think there's any cause for alarm just because of these games we're losing to them.
And what about your future? How about the summer draft?
Well, Chicago can protect 14 players, so if I'm one of them, I'll be happy, and if I'm not, I hope I get drafted by one of the other NHL teams.
Would you like to play for Toronto?
Sure. I'd like to play in any NHL team. Wouldn't matter to me.
Yes, I think that's definitely true. I think that at least one of the qualifications that the people that I talked with in regard to this position were looking for was people with experience in local general government areas.
What are some of your ideas for improving cooperation?
Well, I think in one area at least that some of the things that I would like to see done is greater communication between the federal government and local government officials. Greater appreciation on the part of officials at both levels of government for the problems of those in the other level, so that these can be worked out and they can work together to solve the problems.